The Poker Atlas Tour is coming to TCH Social Austin, December 3rd through 16th. 15 different tournaments, including the $250,000 stocking stuffer and the $500,000 title event. For full details, structures, and satellite information, visit the Poker Atlas app or texascardhouse.com. Trailblazer SUV, the Trailblazer Points Championship is here. The more you play and the higher you rank in the Trailblazer Poker Tour, the better your chances are. The best tournament player in the Trailblazer Poker Tour drives away with this grand prize. For full details on the Trailblazer Poker Tour and the Points Championship, visit texascardhouse.com. Valley poker players. The $60,000 guaranteed Trailblazer Poker Tour is coming to Texas Card House RGV from December 19th through December 29th. $175 buy-in. Tons of great perks for playing at this tour stop. Flights at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day except Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. For full details, structure, and more, visit texascardhouse.com.
Good evening, everybody. It is DT here for another exciting tournament final table. We have the final 8 players for the Black Friday Turkey Shootout. As we get right into the action, it's a good tournament. I believe this was a $400 100K guarantee. 29,000, I believe, was up top. Great. Oh, Prashant gets one through. Blinds are 30,000, 60,000, 60,000. So a couple people sitting short. I guess the whole table's kind of short. No one with really a plethora of chips other than Daniel. This could all swing very, very quickly. Lots of familiar faces at this final table. Welcome. Good luck to everybody. Welcome to all of y'all joining me tonight. This was filmed last Friday. Unfortunately, it started so late that we were unable to live stream this, so we're streaming it now for y'all. Some nice final table action for y'all on Monday night. Oh, that pains me to see 10-9 suited fold. That's probably correct. Jay opening the Queen Jack offsuit. Cut off. Pretty strong. Let's see if Daniel wants to defend. Pretty standard defend, I imagine. Don't really see any other option other than call here. They're gonna play some post-flop poker. Gut shot for Daniel and queen high for Jay. Still way in the lead. Just snap check behind. Oh, what a turn card. Top pair versus combo draw. Huge combo draw. Double gutter and a flush draw. I imagine Daniel may play this as a check raise to try and get ace high and king highs to fold. You could also just call. Jay's so short that there may not be a whole lot of fold equity. Oh no, he does just rip it in. I don't mind this at all. Yeah, flopping top or turning top pair, you can't do anything else. Yep, the money's gonna get in here. Daniel needs a little help. Spade, 10 or 6. It's exciting. Start the stream off with a top pair versus, double gutter and a flush draw. Chip leader looking to get a little richer. I mean, this is big. All the other short stacks looking for a pay jump without any work. They were rooting for a spade or 10 or a 6. That's what I'd be rooting for if I was on the sidelines. Hope everybody's having a good evening tonight. Oh, 3 of bricks. And a big double up for Jay. Now he's got some chips to play with, and the chip leader takes a hit. Still remains the chip lead. But not bad. So we have Caleb in the 2 seat, Prashant in the 1 seat, Dylan in the 3 seat, Jay in the 4 seat, Khaled in the 5 seat, Glenn in the 6 seat, and Daniel in the 7 seat, and AK in the 9 seat. I'm always, whenever we do the cash game streams here, I'm always curious about what nicknames people like to go by and stuff, like why they choose them and stuff. Most of these players seem to have chosen, something reasonable. Not really sure what the what you can get away with and can't get away with. Jay with a very speculative call from a very speculative open from Caleb under the gun. Daniel with a pair. AK getting a great price with the Queen Jack. I don't mind this at all, just seeing a flop, hoping you make something happen. I don't think there's a lot of fold equity. Obviously, seeing the hands, there is, but I don't think 3s would fold. And no one flops anything. 3's still the best hand. This is probably going to be who wants it most. Now Jay way out in front. Curious to see if Caleb is going to rep this ace. Neither Daniel nor AK should have very strong aces. He's got most of the strong ones. Jay, very content to check this back. If it checks through, I imagine he's going to make a small bet on the river. Try and get called by a 10, 6, or 7. You can bet something that's probably too big. This just such a little over half pot's just such a large bet. It's going to be hard to get looked up by anything. I mean, no one here had really anything to get looked up by, but you want to get called by a 10. You want to get called by a 7. You want to get called by a 6, which is what Caleb has. It does look kind of sus, but I don't know what, because I don't know what hands Jay would want to call with pre-flop from an early position open, and then check back the flop, check back the turn, and then bet this river. Maybe a set of 6s. He could have flopped a set and just wanted to let people catch up. But I imagine a set would have bet the turn, which is probably what Caleb's thinking about. Especially with everybody being so short, you just want and it being so multi-way. So I mean, this is kind of sus. Caleb makes a discipline laydown, good fold. Another big pickup for Jay, winning 2 in a row, chipping up. Going from just shy of a mil to 2.7 mil. Now looking in good shape. Let's see what these players are playing for tonight. Not the payouts. Thought it was the payouts. My bad, guys. That one's on me. But I believe first place gets just shy of $30,000, $29,000. I mean, that's a good chunk of change for a $400 buy-in tournament. Hello, Kiwi Special. Glad to see you in chat. Hope everybody joining me tonight is having a wonderful Monday. Great start of the week. It is DT in the booth solo tonight. We are streaming the final table from the 100K Turkey Shootout that was on Black Friday. Nice little tournament. Daniel with a limp on the button with an ace. After J limps, AK getting a great price. 9-4 offsuit might be a little too bad of a hand. 2 players flop 3s. Daniel could bet this. No one should have a strong king. And this is more for equity denial than anything else. I don't imagine anyone's going to look this up. Carter Strange betting on Daniel to win this. Chip stack says good. He's playing good. I liked everything I've seen so far, which is very little, but seems solid. It's kind of a weird limp with ace-3 offsuit. the additional fold equity is the chip leader. I'm curious to see how aggressive these players are going to be since everybody's so short. I mean, this is a spot where the chip leaders, the two largest stacks, could really just push the table around. I mean, AK is sitting at just 5 big blinds. That's super short. Prashant's less than 10. Glenn's just at 11. That's not a lot. Even Dylan. I mean, you have half the table at around 10 or less big blinds, and then everyone jumps up a lot. So I mean, the chip leaders could put a lot of pressure. Obviously, players can adjust. I like this raise from college. This is what I'm talking about. This hand's not great, but since the players are so short, just open to 2.5 big blinds. Get people to fold. AK folding my favorite hand, 10-7. Caleb getting a great price versus another big stack. I wonder how much these players are willing to tango with each other. So now we have gut shot versus gut shot. Caleb's gonna lead this flop. Khaled with the gut shot and the backdoor clubs, not gonna fold. Going nowhere, and Caleb makes top pair. Now, I imagine he would. I don't think he should slow down here. You're gonna get called by a lot of ace highs, lots of flush draws. Obviously, they're better hands than yours. They can call, but you have a ton of equity against those, and this is really just an equity denial bet more than anything else. And just college just mucks. Caleb turning the best hand, getting the worst hand to fold. It would have been interesting if he had played that as a raise on the flop and not a call. But I mean, these are things I often, as a cash player, think about, is the different lines people can take. In tournament, a lot of people err on the more cautious side of play, as I've noticed in the last couple of tournament streams. Maybe that's why I've never final tabled a tournament for a live stream, because sometimes I just ride the variance wave. Granted, my goal is to win the tournament, not ladder up. So.
Yeah. Profile full.
Daniel with a premium chip leader. King Queen looking real good 8-handed here. And it looks like a lot of the table is settled on the same raise sizing. I know a lot of tournament players have different opinions on, raise sizing at different stack depths, but everyone seems to be opening to around 2.5 big blinds, which is still pretty standard. But you see a lot of people mix in, the 2x or the 2.1x or even as large as 3x or sometimes larger. Gray American. Well, it did go till 3 a.m. I think it went even later than that. Well, not think. I know it went later than 3 a.m., which is why y'all are seeing this on a Monday night, because the final table didn't start till around 12:30ish, maybe later. I mean, that's a late start. Daniel, suited one gapper. See, this is what I like to see from the chip leader when the stacks are this short. This is really good aggression. Jay, he's got a really bad hand. I'm curious to see how much he's willing to get involved. This is pretty bad. There's just not a lot. Even if you flop a pair, it's just not going to be great. Daniel with the double gutter. Jay with the gutter. It's amazing that 7 high here is just a 3-1 favorite. Jay calls with his gutter. Nice turn for Daniel to keep betting. Jay doesn't have a lot of strong aces here. So obviously if he has 6 deuce, he could have 5 deuce. But he's just not going to have a lot of strong hands here other than sets and maybe 2 pair. So it's going to be a lot of draws, a lot of 5-6, 7-5 like Daniel has. I guess 6 deuce because he's holding 6 deuce. And then flush draws. So Daniels wants to really charge those. And the question is, does Jay really want to tango with the chip leader, and he doesn't? I'm very surprised at the 6 deuce defend. It's just a little too light, I think, as deep as they are. As much as I want to, try and play poker against other players, I think 6 deuce offsuit is probably just too bad of a hand. I wouldn't have minded seeing Jay 3-bet it, just to try and just because Daniel's capable of opening so light as it showed the 7-5 suited. Obviously, the 7-5 suited probably wouldn't have seen a flop. Who knows? 6 deuce offsuit definitely probably plays better as a 3-bet. See if Caleb opens the 10-6 suited in the cutoff. Probably should. Once again, these larger chip stacks just are heavily incentivized to put the pressure on these small stacks. And look at that pickup. 10 high. It's a good pickup. If I raise 10-6 suited and get a bunch of folds, I'm ecstatic. That's a great pickup. Daniel still way out in front. It's just shy of 4 million. Caleb J and College just over 2 million. Everyone else, 6, hanging in there.
Sweat every time I just like look at the My guy has a full fucking mask and everything.
This is probably going to handcuff the play, though, where the big stacks can do the bullying, and the short stacks are just going to be very wary.
Get us all one? I'll get around if we all drink.
Great tournament to play in. Absolutely smashed the 100K guaranteed. I kind of wanted to play in this myself, but being the person who commentates the tournament, sometimes you don't get to play in all these tournaments. Hopefully I get to play in some soon. Light my 400 or whatever the entry fee is on fire. I am a terrible tournament player. My cash game side just leaks into me. I understand tournaments. I just get bored. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Oh, I like this. Suited king, 5 big blinds. It's not really going to get much better at this. All in. Better king's going to fold. You're going to get a lot of folds from a lot of hands that you're kind of flipping with, that are 40%. Dylan folds to queen 7. Curious as to what Jay is posturing with. I wonder if this is a hand like queen 10 offsuit. It is. It's king 10 offsuit. It's really so. The problem with this hand is, yes, he's shoving light, but there's still people behind you to act. Khaled gonna give him action with the queen 8 offsuit. Shout out to my friend Eric, his favorite hand. Gets the ace high to fold, which I believe would have called if Khaled had folded. So king high and queen 8 basically flipping here. AK just needs to hold. Off to a run out. Oh, and ace high would have just smashed this. Khaled now just a 3-1 dog. And takes a commanding lead on the turn. Now a 9-1 favorite. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Nice hustle, AK. I like the shove. Unfortunate, but I mean, in any tournament, you kind of got to gamble at some point in time.
I kind of thought 2 of them might.
Not even kind of. You just have to gamble at some point in time.
I don't know.
Whether you're flipping or, a 3-1 dog, you just have to gamble. It's a lot of this just comes down to math. So good job, AK. Nice 8th place finish. See if I can get the payouts for y'all. Hope everyone joining me SG Ultra Glenn is having a great evening tonight. Welcome to this final table stream for the 100K guaranteed turkey shootout from Black Friday. Great tournament. Great turnout. I mean, this is Dylan. King 10 offsuit is a hand that you could start to entertain min clicking, and I mean, I guess he's glad he didn't, and then folding. And Glenn's just all in with ace queen. I mean, this is such a great hand to look at when you have, 9 big blinds. Queen jack suited might be. I mean, you're just hoping you're flipping. Obviously, in this spot, he's not. You're hoping you're up against, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, even ace king, ace 10. Obviously, the worst, does make the call. I don't blame him for making this call.
Never play this hand. Turn the dead.
Glenn saying he never plays this hand. It's a great hand to play. I don't know what he's complaining about. I'd be ecstatic with this hand at this juncture in time. Queen high, but he's got to face some outs. King or an 8 or a jack. That's a lot of outs. Clean run out for Glenn. Good double up for him too. Great double up.
Never in doubt.
It's always a sweat. It's never not a sweat. I don't know who believes it's not a sweat, but it's pretty much always a sweat. I feel like it's always a sweat. Nice big double up. Now there's really only 2 short stacks though. Dylan just over 10 big blinds. By just over, I mean a little bit over it, right at about 13 per shot. Right at about 9. It's dangerous. These big stacks could still kind of, well, really just Dylan. Or Daniel, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Dylan. Caleb, such a pretty hand to fold too. But everyone's so short, the value of this hand just goes so far down. Pseudo connectors, great when everyone's deep. Pseudo connectors, not great when everyone's in shoving range. Caleb's still going to open it up. Don't mind it at all. Prashant has a hand that he cannot fold here. You just can't fold this. You have too much hand to fold. Your stack's way too short. This is a spot where I think you kind of have to gamble. I don't mind call. Let flop a piece, let Caleb go bananas. I don't mind shove. You're obviously not really getting called by worse.
Heads up.
But to a flop they are. Caleb out flops Prashant. Just gonna go check bet fold, I imagine. Caleb gonna, pilot. I mean, queen high is just not great on this board. Yes, you can turn some draws, but I mean, even Caleb's bluffs are ahead of you. A lot of Caleb's bluffs are ahead of you. King high and his better queen highs. Yeah, Prashant makes the discipline lay down. Good fold. It just feels so bad to have, 5 big blinds left, but anyone can win this thing. All it takes is a couple of good hands. And now we have new blind levels. 40,000, 80,000 with an 80,000 ante. That's bad news for Prashant. I mean, 4 big blinds with 1 ante. He's gonna have to find a spot in the next orbit. Dylan just shy of 10 big blinds now. Still okay. Just needs a double up. Sucks to fold an ace under the gun. But yeah, Prashant gonna need to make find something to make something work. Jay with a premium king queen offsuit.
Bro, I swear they've had
This
these on
is
for like half the
a
day.
very large race size. This looks like 260. He just doesn't want the action.
There's been so many bodies in here. You don't need any fucking.
I don't think it matters whether or not you choose the larger. You could have opened as. I mean, this is such a large race sizing. It may get Caleb to fold this hand. This is a pretty standard defend too for a smaller sizing, but this larger sizing gets it through. All right. Good on Jay. Gets the slightly better hand to fold.
It's probably similar to what this felt like, to be honest. No, he said it was like 80 something in the room.
People were gripping. It was 100.
I do remember this day. I was waiting for the final table to,
Big industrial fans.
or I was waiting for it to break down to the final table, players to bust out.
Sucking it up just by managing the
The card room was very warm. I mean, there were a lot of people in the room, tons of tables going. It's action-packed night at Texas Card House, Houston. But it's normally very cold in here. And it was one of the few times in the past, year and a half that I've had to take off my jacket while at the poker table. Oh, Caleb, premium sevens. See how he wants to play this. They're so shallow that set mining is just kind of a weird thing. But it seems so bad to fold a pair. Obviously, deuces, threes, fours, maybe fives, probably fives included, becomes an easier fold. But sevens, eights, nines, these become such harder folds. I mean, on flops like these, as long as Khaled keeps up the aggression, which he should, it's going to be hard for Caleb to hold on. And when Caleb calls out of the small blind and doesn't 3-bet, you can discount, ace king, ace queen. So the best hands he can really have here are queen jack. Doesn't have jacks, doesn't have queens. He could have sixes. Could have king queen at some frequency, but I mean, if he's got a ton of just marginal hands, it's just easy to push him out of the pot.
Hey Chris, can you yell at service? Come up here.
And I have the payouts for y'all. First place taking home a cool $29,255. Second, $19,570. Third, $13,280. All the way down to seventh now, $4,300. That's what these players are currently playing for. A minimum cash out of that. Not bad. Not a bad payday. A little 10x, 10.7x of your return, your entry fee. Glenn gonna probably make the discipline lay down. He could open this. He could. I don't think limping this is a good idea. I think it's a razor fold situation. Get resistance. Just kind of muck it. You don't get resistance. You get to play post flop. Jay is going to. This is such a bad hand. Yeah. Does make a disciplined laydown, but every chip matters at this stage. And these players so far have shown that they're willing to be very aggressive. Post flop. Yes, Lando, this was this past Friday. This was the Turkey Shootout 100K Black Friday tournament here at Texas Card House Houston. It was a single day 100K. We recorded the final table as it started a little later than we had anticipated, and we wanted to make sure that y'all got to watch the action. We wanted to make sure every viewer got to see this that wanted to. The last thing we want y'all to do is, watch a stream till 4 a.m., 5 a.m., then have to go to work or something. Although I guess it was a Saturday. generally when the tournament final tables start. Oh, Prashant was away and he folded queens. Yes, the poker line. Unfortunately, I was excited when I saw you made the final table because I was doing commentary. And it's always good to see friends make the final table, and I wanted to see the commentary. I was excited to do commentary for you making the final table. But good run nonetheless. Nice ninth place finish. Always a pleasure to see you and play poker with you. For those of y'all that don't know who the Poker Line is, please check out his YouTube channel, The Poker Line on YouTube. Great vlog. Houston poker player. Great guy. Great content. Check him out.
I do feel it a little bit.
7 fold, 1 goes all in.
We have it all in with eights now rewarded after he gets back after folding the queens. I don't think he's going to get any action. King high, king 5 offsuit, not good enough to call. It's a lot closer than... this is a weird spot. It's such a good price. Glenn doesn't want to gamble. It comes down to how much gamble you have in you. I think Prashant's going to be shoving very light there. I imagine like, 7-8 suited, even 7-6 suited plus probably get shoved. So you're gambling with a lot of those hands. The question is, do you just want to gamble? The Poker Line, are you going to make a vlog out of this tournament run? People love your vlogs. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Although, I do, after talking with the Poker Line about vlogging, he kind of enlightened me to how much work it actually is. I knew how much vlogging was a lot of work, but man, did the Poker Line open my eyes up to how much actual work he had to put in for even the shorts. Prashant with ace high. Oh, it's a disaster. I like his shove. Daniel just wakes up with the goods. Prashant needs a 3. Thank y'all for everybody joining me tonight for this exciting final table. See if Prashant can find a 3. He does have running hearts. A heart would be a nice sweat. Oh, we have a real sweat now. 3 or a heart. No dice, the biggest brick in the deck. Daniel chipping up. Good run, Prashant. Nice. Let's see. Prashant for his finish for 7th place will get in cool $4,300. The next player eliminated will get $5,160. That's a pretty hefty pay jump. That's over 2 buy-ins for a pay jump. So good return. And now we're down to 6. This final table's been moving. Players haven't been afraid to, make moves. Play some poker. Dylan really in the danger zone now, though. Because everyone else has... the next short stack has twice as many chips as he does. Dylan with king high under the gun, knowing he's going to have to post very quickly. This is such a tough spot for ace-10 offsuit because you have everybody else to act behind you. Yes, you probably have the best hand between you and Dylan, but if someone wakes up with a monster behind you, you're just lighting a third of your stack on fire. I don't mind the fold. We have final table as Glenn in the chat. Glenn, glad to see you here. Good run. And glad to see you in the last couple of tournament streams. You made good runs. Always good to see consistency. Caleb wakes up with the goods. Jade being happy. Got a little 2-to-1 action here. Dylan, really looking for a king or a 4? A king would be great. That's what I was saying. Sometimes you got to gamble. No dice. He does have backdoor diamonds, so a diamond would be a good sweat. Maybe the 3 of diamonds or 6 of diamonds. A diamond does make a sweat. So now Dylan's drawn very live. Unfortunate run out for Dylan. Good effort on him. Just shy of 5,400, I believe. Yeah, 5,160. Good payout for him. Now the jump is even bigger. $1,500 jump. Day jump. I believe the next one's 3,000. It's all good, Glenn. Everybody makes errors. It's what makes us human. It's what makes poker great. Because if everyone played perfectly, it just be chess. And chess with a little extra variance, and I think that's kind of boring. One of the fun things about poker is that if you put the same hand in the hands of different people, they will play the hand differently. Albeit sometimes very minute differences, but other times it's huge differences.
Which star were you on, this one or that one?
And that's what makes it fun. It's very much a people game.
You're good to go.
Even tournaments. Glenn in the chat with Jax here. Let's see how he decides to play this. You want some action when you have a hand this strong. That's a hefty raise. I would still want a call. This is almost, when you bet a third of your, or a fourth of your stack like this is a virtual all-in. Although no one really had anything. Glenn does show that he had the goods. Especially this short-handed. When you want to win the tournament, you gotta double up. You need people to give you a little bit of action. Good on these players for making it this far. It's further than I've ever made it in any big tournament. I've won a local, $20 buy-in tournament, but that doesn't count for shit. These players have done far more in their poker tournament career than I have done. All I've done is light money on fire. So, stuff they could be doing could be much more correct than what I'm saying. Who knows? This just goes back to players playing things differently. Caleb, 5-handed. This is a premium. Queen 9 suited on the button. Open this up.
That means I have to have a good hand to raise,
No, it doesn't, Caleb. You don't have to have a good hand to raise. You could have a medium hand.
No blue chips.
Full ring, this is a very medium hand. 5-handed, great hand. Caller defending with my favorite hand, the 10-7. I'm rooting for it. Come on, 10-7. Nothing against you, Caleb. Two very even stacks. Neither player hitting this flop. Caleb with some backdoors. He just checks it back immediately. Does turn the best hand, but Caller with now a gut shot. This would be a very sick spot to check raise. Caleb doesn't have spades very often when he checks back so fast. I wonder if Caller does that. It's just a spot where all the good spades probably would have bet. You just want the extra fold equity. So this would be a great spot to check raise. But does make a discipline laydown. Is behind. Caleb turns his pair. Going for a little bit of value. Well, then you've been playing with these guys all night. You know better than I do. So if they had been calling super loose all night, then a larger size is appropriate. You know, if you open to 2.5 big blinds and people are calling with, you know, king 10 offsuit, just make them pay a little bit more. That's a good thought process. It's never wrong. The only problem I had with the raise sizing is just when you have such a small stack size, it just looks so scary. But it's fine. I think the only wrong raise sizing would be anything half your stack or larger, where it's just a virtual all-in, you know. Glenn with the Jack 10 under the gun. Gonna limp. I don't mind this at all. I feel like if you do this though, you would have to limp some very strong hands. I like this. Limp call it. I think call it is getting a little too out of line with this because the hands you're limping with are all hands that want to see flops. Not a bad flop for the Jack 10. Not curious to see how call it plays this. I would have loved to see a bet from you here, Glenn. You do turn the best hand, but you had the best hand in the first place. Just equitying it out, and I think this is kind of suicidal. I call it because you're gonna have a lot of king jack, you know, jack 10, king 10, and this bet's just never gonna get through. I'm curious to see if he's gonna turn this pair into a bluff. I think the only bluff is all in. He does bet all of it. This in Glenn's spot, I don't think this bet makes any sense to me. Check flop, bet turn, pile river. I think all the flush draws, especially since we have the 10 of spades, all the ace high and king high flush draws, even the 8 high, 7 high, 6 high flush draws, would want the additional fold equity on the flop. Your hand is gonna look like it is all the time. And it's a rough spot. I don't really know what Khaled was trying to represent with this hand. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I think you had a great candidate to call with that wasn't, you know, a straight or a flush. You're blocking a lot of the flushes he's representing. You're blocking a lot of the straights he's representing. And his line just doesn't make any sense to me. And I know some of y'all are saying it's easy. Easy when I'm sitting here looking at the cards in everybody's hands, but sometimes you got to put yourself in these players' shoes. I mean, Glenn in the chat saying Colin was wild all night, and it's a rough spot. That's fair. That's fair. I don't mind folding. It's if we're gonna see the full run out with that, I think you had one of the best hands to call down with. Obviously, when check 2, I would have loved to see a bet. What you're really trying to do is you're not trying to get ace high to fold, because I think a lot of his ace highs are going to check call, you know, like ace king, ace jack. I think you're really trying to get a lot of hands with unders and equity, like he had, to fold. Obviously, if he calls, is great. Caleb with a monster 5-handed, and Daniel with a great hand in the big blind to defend with. Ace-6 suited versus Big Slick. Nada for either player. Ace-King way ahead. Although this board does favor Daniel in the big blind. I like that too. It makes raising the turn would have made your decision tree very, very clear, and you can get value from worse hands. There are lots of 9x hands with spades that would bet the turn. Like, let's say at ace 9 offsuit with the ace of spades, king 9 offsuit with the king of spades. Those are all you're getting value from all of those hands, and that's the spot where you're gonna get the value from. You're not gonna get the value on the river. You're gonna get it on the turn when they think they have additional equity. So I wouldn't have minded a raise. That would have been good, especially if you check back the flop. And you had such a key blocker. I would never have thought he would have had ace or king high spades the way he played the hand. Caleb here with way the best hand now on the river. See what sizing he chooses to see if he can get any value. Caleb thinking this one through. I don't think a very large sizing is in order for this. I think a smaller sizing, because you want to get called by a 9, you want to get called by a 7, and you don't have a lot of bluffs here after checking back the turn. If you had bet turn and gotten called again, then you can set up for a huge river bet. But I think a smaller sizing is in order, because you just want to get called. And this looks like a little bit on the larger. Oh, this is a huge sizing. Daniel's just not going to have a lot of hands here that are strong enough to call this bet. So I would like this if Caleb was bluffing. But since he's betting for value, I think that large sizing is really only going to get you in trouble. Because if you get raised on that river, it's kind of a disaster. I don't think Daniel's going to get super out of line on a river play with that. This is one of the hard balances. Betting for value, trying to get called by worse, and then making sure you don't lose the max when you have the worst hand. Which I am great at in cash, by the way. For those of y'all that haven't played with me, I'm great at losing the max when I have the worst hand. I don't know why. So come play with me at Texas Card House Houston.
Good to go.
Yes, Glenn, live and learn. We wouldn't be human if anything otherwise. Call it with an ace. 5-handed, great. King 7 suited in the small blind, not great. Versus 3-bet or fold. Even in cash, I know in tournaments, it's a little bit less stringent on the requirements on what you do in the small blind. I'm a real big supporter of the 3-bet or fold strategy in the small blind. It's all good, Glenn. You've made it here to the final table multiple times, so you obviously know what you're doing. I think one of the biggest challenges that I see tournament players make on the live stream is adaptation. Obviously, you've played 10+ hours with the same group of people, and one of the biggest things that I think a lot of players need to do is adapt their strategy to the final table. It may not be apparent at first, but within the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you can figure out what you need to change about your poker game. See if Daniel wants to open the button as the big next stack. I'm pretty sure I'm opening any 2 cards here. You get met with resistance, so whatever. You're gonna get met with resistance here. That's cool. Caleb's got a monster in the small blind. Let's see which sizing he chooses. How does he want to play this? He could go larger for additional fold equity, but if Daniel's opening the button super light, you kind of want a lot of calls. Even though there are going to be some dicey boards to play. See what sizing he chooses. I mean, 5-handed. Small blind versus button open from the big stack. Jacks might as well be aces. I mean, this is such a strong hand here. Looks 7 and change. Oh, I like this sizing. I like this sizing. In between 3 and 4x. Daniel 9-high. Just gonna release it. Nice pickup for Caleb. In his mind, it's just cement that Daniel is just kind of with 2 paper napkins. As we look at the chip counts, Caleb with 4 million now, overtaking the chip lead. Daniel with 3.6, still a lot to work with. Khaled 3.16, Jay 1.25, and Glenn just shy of $1 million. Glenn, this is the spot where Glenn needs to start worrying about trying to double up, because yes, you want to try and ladder up, but a double up here would put you in a great position. I think that's one thing I'm good at having mentality-wise, is when it gets down to stages like these, is I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to win the tournament. I'm not trying to pay jump, ladder up. I'm trying to win. And you see that a lot with a lot of these tournament players. I'm not saying any of the players here have that mentality. And I'm glad, actually. All of these players. I love this shove. I love it. Jay being so short calling, Caleb's opening super wide on the button. Your hand is obviously going to play well post flop, but it's going to make it so hard for Caleb to call with a lot of his hands. Even hands that have you crushed. Hands like King Queen, King Jack just shrivel up to this bet. What do you want to do? Flip for your tournament life here when there's a shorter stack? Jay's, however, is incentivized differently. And King 10 suited plays well with Jay's calling range. Obviously, if he's calling with Queen 7 suited, he's got a bunch of junk in there. I don't really like the call from the small blind by Jay. It's just going to be so hard for you to play your hand. It's also going to be very hard for it to be the best hand. You flop a queen, they're strong queens, have you crushed. You flop a 7, they're overpairs, have you crushed. Sure, 7 could be the best hand, but it's going to get through too. Good pickup by Khaled. I could be wrong. Jake could call it off here. I don't think he's going to. Nor do I think he should. Good fold. Good pickup by Khaled. Good, great move. I really like that. I really like that initiative.
Please stop raising my big one. That's your last warning, sir.
Apparently, the last warning was my last warning. Damn, I thought I had at least one more warning hand.
Ran out of warning.
Thought I had one more. Small one. That's the best hand I had.
Really?
Alright, next hand, blinds are going up.
For real,
5100.
Yeah.
5100.
When everyone has, you know, such a larger stack than you, although Jay, now that I think about it, Jay with that call makes Glenn and Jay quite about even at this time. A pretty standard shove, blind versus blind. Queen 9 offsuit, going to be the best hand pretty often. If not, doing pretty reasonable against the calling range. Queen 6 suited, definitely not a call. You'd rather shove with Queen 6 suited than call with Queen 6 suited. And the blinds have gone up. So Glenn with 8 big blinds, Jay with 10 big blinds, Daniel with 30, just shy of 36, Khaled with almost 37, Caleb with 38. The top 3 stacks are neck and neck, and the bottom 2 stacks are basically neck and neck. So this could get dicey. I think the pressure should pretty much be on which of the big stacks gets to the button, because the 2 small stacks are very close to each other.
I want to wait a little bit. I don't want to make a deal yet.
Oh, my favorite hand goes into the muck, and that hurts. 10-3 offsuit, not a great hand.
Really upset about your big one, right?
Don't think you should be shoving this unless you... I guess it depends on how light you think. I mean, Daniel obviously would have called with the ace 9. how light you think he's gonna call. If you think he's capable of folding a hand like King 4 offsuit, you can start entertaining just shoving any 2 cards because you're just gonna get it through so often. And when called, you usually have 2 live cards. But Glenn lives to see another day. I don't mind the fold at all. I think it's great. Blind versus blind is some of the most interesting poker play you can imagine. And Khaled really taken the big stack raise to heart. Does not want any defenses from Daniel. Daniel has a big hand 5-handed. I don't mind the fold at all, Glenn. I think it's pretty standard. I'm saying you can get creative with it, just shoving any 2 cards if you think he's just not gonna call you light. But it's also probably not worth risking. I love this 3-bet by Daniel. Knowing Khaled's raise sizing doesn't mean he has a strong hand. He could just be not wanting to see a flop. Great instincts by Daniel. Good pickup. I mean, short stack management is really rough. At some point in time, you are going to have to gamble. The math says so. I mean, you could just get dealt aces, kings, queens, and then it's rough. But at some point in time, you will have to gamble with the blinds being what they are. I mean, when you have 5-handed, when you have just shy of 8 big blinds, you're going to see a big blind again very quickly. Oh, I know that panned Khaled to fold 8-7 suited. 8-3 offsuit, not gonna get it for Glenn. See if Daniel wants to open light. I wouldn't have minded a light open, knowing Jay's in the big blind.
That's awesome.
Just from observation, knowing that he was able to fold the small blind with that shove, means he's capable of calling light. So I guess that's probably what deterred Daniel from raising the button super light, but it's a great spot to put pressure on. Great spot to put pressure. I mean, Jay really having to think about busting out. I mean, the pay jumps are starting to become much more significant. I like the shove. It's just not going to be. I mean, any pair here looks great. Gets looked up by ace high. I think it's pretty standard. I think this is a mandatory shove. You're gonna see the big blind soon. A pair's often the best hand, and we're off to the races. Ace high board, not what Glenn wanted to see. Deuce on the turn. Drawing, call it drawing dead.
Sir, do you realize what you just hit?
Great pickup. Great pickup by Glenn. I loved it. I think Khaled had a mandatory call.
Yeah.
This time I just backed it up. I knew I fucked up if I stood up.
I mean, this is what I was talking about with gambling. I mean, you just have to do it. Obviously, if everybody folds, it's great. But a call and a double up, that's great too. Now Glenn's in a great spot. 17 big blinds. He's got something to work with. Jay's in the danger zone. 10 big blinds. Not super danger, but still pretty danger.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it when you said it.
Good duck to see on the turn.
I didn't have enough
By
chips
Glenn.
to say it. You could say it.
I've seen it too many times, and it's happened to me too many times.
As we get to a dealer change, let y'all know about some of the upcoming events here at TCH Houston. We have the holiday shootout coming through here at TCH Houston. We have a $100K, $300 buy-in tournament going on with multi-flight tournament. 30K starting stack, 30-minute levels, 12.5% of the money, 8% day 2. We have flights starting on December 4th, and the last one being a 9 a.m. turbo on December 8th, right before day 2 starts. So hope to see some of y'all down here for this holiday shootout. I will very likely be commentating on some of y'all on this final table. Hope to see some of y'all here. I haven't figured out whether or not, since I'm a cash player, whether or not I like multi-day tournaments more than single-day tournaments or not. It has nothing to do with uh, the overall structure. It has everything to do with whether or not I like spending one really, really long day more than one medium plus one medium day, or 2 medium days, probably. I don't know the intricacies of it. I may fire a bullet. Actually, if I fire a bullet, I wonder if I can commentate on myself at the final table. What a walk with 6 high. That feels, I bet that felt great, Glenn. Everyone folds, you get a walk with 6-3 offsuit. That always feels fantastic. Get your money back. Because you had 200K out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. You're on break in 22 minutes. So I'm gonna color everything up.
The pressure's on, though. Players blocking the camera. But 5th place now going to get 6640 and a huge pay jump to 4th to 9100. That's a 2500 pay jump. That's a lot of money. Glenn small blind, queen 10 offsuit. I like this raise. 7-5 offsuit, not going to cut it. I don't want to see Daniel do anything other than fold. This hand is just really bad. And I guess he's just trying to get you, Glenn, because this is a pretty bad hand. He could also think he's going to outplay you post-flop, but I love this shove. Most of the value you're going to get on this board is from draws and worse pairs, and the board's only going to get worse for the pairs. It's only going to get harder for the draws to call. I actually absolutely love the shove. Daniel was just an open-ender. This is going to come down to whether or not he wants to gamble. He has the chips to spare, but it would make Glenn a nightmare to deal with if it doubled up. I mean, Glenn, a very capable player. Yeah, I absolutely love the shove. I'm much happier with the shove than a bet small or, a half pot. Most of your value here versus Daniel's just calling range is he has an 8, 6, or some sort of draw. And that's where you're going to get the value from. He doesn't have a better queen very often. I think Queen Jack is the only better queen he has. He never has Ace Queen. He never has King Queen. Those hands get 3-bet all the time. I think Queen Jack suited 3-bets with some frequency too. So great shove by Glenn. Great. Does Daniel want to gamble? I know some of you out there want to gamble. No, I don't mind that. The upside to gambling is when you win, you get a huge chip stack. And does call. Daniel decides to gamble. Open into straight draw versus top pair. Daniel looking for 6 outs, 9 or 4. Does decide that it's worth becoming the biggest chip leader and knocking a player out to gamble. I mean, 2.5 mil left back is not bad. A clean turn for Glenn. See if he can dodge a river. And he does. A big double up for Glenn. Now Glenn is at the top of the leaderboard. Daniel still has plenty to play with. But a good double up. And well played by Glenn.
It's only one in on Glenn.
To go all the way from short stack to basically tied for chip lead. I mean, Jay was definitely rooting for the knockout, but now Glenn's got some chips to play with. I don't mind the call by Daniel. I I don't think it was necessary. I don't think the 7-5 offsuit needed to see a flop. You just fold to the larger sizing. But once you saw the flop, just decided you want to gamble. Sometimes you just want to gamble. Big double up for Glenn. Big double up.
Holy shit, your
That's,
chips are all.
and that should change the dynamic.
More than I got here.
I like that you had to correct him for your name. I wonder how often that comes up for you. Did people write your name down and put 2 ins? Does that happen a lot? Jay all in with ace deuce suited. No one with anything worth calling. 5 high, 7 high out of the way. King high for 10 big blinds. This is, once again, this is a spot you don't really want to be calling it off with. You want to be shoving with this hand, not calling. Curious to see what Caleb thinks. Obviously, he's doing a lot better than I would think he's doing. You could definitely breathe after that hand. Tied for chip lead. Good pickup by Jay, though. Picks up, you know, a fourth of his stack. Can survive another orbit. That's the best hand. These players are battling. This is the tournament poker I like to see. Players willing to take risks. A lot of aggression. I don't like the ones that have a lot of waiting. I mean, everybody here has clearly come to play. This is what makes poker great. When it becomes more problem solving, less bingo-y. Although I still feel like tournaments are a lot of bingo.
We can push him to the stars. We can push him to the stars. You don't have to reach for that. Just reach for mine. I don't
Call it. Gonna lip the 7-6 suited under the gun. I don't know how I feel about this. He's just not a great hand. Daniel gonna lip the button. I don't mind this after call over lips. Caleb complete. I'm surprised to see Jay check the Jack-10 suited. When you shove this hand versus and when called, you generally have ridiculous equity, and the fold equity here would have been nuts. Obviously, he flops the best hand. Jay, all in, gonna get no action. Well, he should get no action. This is a over pot bet. This is a pretty dry board. I think Jay would have jammed a lot of hands that we think we're beating pre-flop. Ace Jack, Ace Queen, Queen. Queen Jack is really the only hand that we're beating with the King 5. And he's got a ton of outs. Queen Jack, 8, or King. And yeah, no one can make this call. I don't mind seeing the flop either. Big pickup by Jay though. Another 400k. Big pickup. Third of your stack in there. Now it's getting dangerous. The short stacks are chipping up. Thank y'all for everyone who's joining me for this final table of last Friday's Turkey Shootout 100k Black Friday tournament. Hope y'all are having a great evening tonight. I know I am. Very exciting final table. Players making moves. gambling,
Oh, okay. I thought you
all
were
for
saying
a pretty hefty payout of $29,000.
You know what I mean?
6-fold.
Daniel, Ace Queen's been good to him. He's had it a couple times.
7 ways, 200.
And it's good to see these players, since the chip stacks have kind of leveled out, opt for the more consistent raise sizing. There's no leverage to be had anymore. So I like the min raise. Not pair versus a ghost shot.
Gotcha.
Depending on Daniel's sizing, I can imagine it going bet call. Daniel getting tricky, checking back, and gets annihilated. What a great turn for call it. I love the check. Daniel gonna go for a little bit of value on this turn.
7 bet. 300.
As call it, I imagine. What is he gonna think he's gonna do? Daniel.
Flat raise.
Daniel's hand does not seem like a lot of strength here. I think Daniel's gonna have a lot of king highs, queen highs. Obviously, we can see that he has one of the best hands to have here. But I think a call, despite the wet board, you just have it so locked up. I wouldn't be afraid of a diamond. I'd be more afraid of a spade. I wouldn't be afraid of a board pair. I think the spade is really the only card that I would be afraid of.
7 goes away.
That's not what I expected to happen. Daniel rips it. Khalid obviously snaps with the 6-eye straight. Daniel drawing dead. From chip leader to just almost 3 big blinds. A great pickup by Khalid. I guess Daniel thought Khalid was making a move. I don't mind the check on the flop by Daniel, but I do think it might have been a bit of an overplay, the ace queen, because that's some strength. If we're gonna proceed, we could call. When we put all the chips in the middle, he's never gonna put it all in with the draw. Every time he puts all of the chips in the middle after check raising you on the turn, it's gonna be a better hand than ace queen. It's never gonna be a worse hand. Excuse me, chat, for a second while I take a real quick break.
You want to split this?
Talk in. You share. Get a straw.
No,
No, I'm
get
just
a
playing.
same cup.
No, I'm saying get a straw. Put both.
I'm good. Fucking, what's that movie do with where they do the spaghetti? What's that? What's the cartoon called?
I forgot.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
I know the Colts fan will know what it is. What's that? What's that cartoon where they do the piece of spaghetti and they're sharing the piece of spaghetti? The cartoon, you know? It's like 2 dogs or something, I think.
Not Tom and Jerry. But
No, it's a Disney.
I don't know.
Dalmatian or
No, it is a Dalmatian. No, it's not the Dalmatians.
They've been called Lady in a Trend.
lady.
Yep. That's what it was.
Lady in the Tramp.
It was like 1990 something.
Oh no, it's way older.
Way
than that.
older.
Like probably 1950s.
Oh, okay.
I remember the 50s, man. Those were some good years. Those were some good years. Those 50s.
The original cartoon was in the 50s.
They probably remade it. You know, they remade it.
I remember the
several
remake.
times.
I remember it.
Plenty of blue chips for your big blind. It was definitely in the golden era of Disney animation.
Seven goes away. Yeah, 325, 2 close, 4 close. 5 fold. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2 calls, 4 calls, 5 4. Six calls.
Monster. What you wanted for? Checking the die.
4 players. 6 chips. To check 4 chips.
What do I come back to? What a hand. Everybody has a little bit of something. I'm surprised this check through on the turn. I think Glenn could have gone for a little bit of value on the turn. I don't mind the flop check. But a good pickup nonetheless. And unfortunately for Daniel, he's out. He'll be out in 5th place. A nice payout of 66.40 for Daniel. Good job. Now there were 4 playing for 9,100. Big pickup by Glenn, though. Now the chip leader. I agree, Glenn. He kind of lost it after calling the 7-5. I don't mind the gamble. I don't mind it at all because he becomes an overwhelming chip leader and eliminates a player if he hits. But I don't think he should have been involved with the hand in the first place. It's just an awkward spot he put himself in. Once again, Chess. It's not 50. It's not 50K to first. It's $29,255 to first. I wish. Whoever got first, I wish it. They wish it was 50K. I mean, that'd be a pretty good prize day. I mean, $30,000 for first, even $20,000 for second. A pretty good payday for a $400 tournament. Single day. That's not bad. Jay
5 goes away.
limps under the gun. I don't mind this shove at all. Glenn's kind of handcuffed when you shove, and he gets snapped by Jay.
And 4 calls.
I would have preferred Jay shove this than limp call. You don't have the best hand very often. I mean, he has the best hand here, but it's just so hard. You want the fold equity too. Ace high, but it's a sweat. King queen drawn to backdoor clubs or gutter. No club, no gutter. Just 10 and a 10 only. That's a clean run out for the ace 8. Big double up for Jay. Butter Nips, what does the YouTube title currently say? I believe it is still the 100K guarantee. Oh, it should definitely not say that. Let's see if I can get that fixed for y'all. Man, that would be a great payday. I wonder what kind of turnout you would need for that to be
It's funny, we have
to hit
about the same
50K.
year.
I have no clue the math behind that.
3 of us.
And I'm a math guy.
5 calls.
Four-handed. Some of my favorite poker played is four-handed. I love this. I love this, Glenn. Chip leader, four-handed. Get after it. Be aggressive. I just don't think players are aggressive enough either. In a lot of the final tables, I love this. You get metal resistance, you can reevaluate. They call, you can play post flop. If they raise, you have a trashy hand, you can throw it away. But there's free chips to be taken, you know? Better change it or I'm bringing out the butter. Whose nips are you buttering? Huh? Huh? Certainly not mine. I don't want no butter on no nips. Caleb on the button. Great hand on the button.
2 raise, 220. 4 calls, 5 folds. Heads up.
King high versus 10 high. Small blind. I think Jay could have 3-bet this hand. And I would have loved to see Caleb bet when checked to him. Now it's going to be really hard to play this hand. You're not going to get to realize your equity. You would have kept the betting lead. 2 overs and a gut shot on the flop. Slam dunk. 4-handed. Best hand took it down. I think Jay could have 3-bet that and taken it down anyways due to stack depth. But the bottom 3 stacks are neck and neck. Glenn way out in front. Glenn, I hope you kept the aggression on. I love to see it. Great spot for you to be in now. From the bottom to the top. Everybody's showing that they're willing to play though. So this is anybody's game. But since all 3 of the bottom stacks are so close, it's a great spot for Glenn to be putting so much pressure on. I do not like this shove.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a count on that.
I think this is just posturing by Glenn, but 28 big blinds is an egregious amount to be calling with Queen 10 offsuit. Hopefully that title is fixed for you now, Buttered Nips. This is kind of the best case scenario. I mean, actually, the best case scenario is he has a hand like pocket eights. But yeah, good fold. Good fold by Glenn. I think it's kind of an overplay. Khaled really just didn't want to play versus the chip leader. You know, heads up. I understand that, but it's going to be so rough. You can put the butter back up. Put it away. Put it away. Jack 10 raise, gets the folds around. Pretty standard. Glenn, I think you had the perfect stack size and the perfect setup to be super aggressive. This is what a chip leader wants, which is where the other 3 stacks are so close to each other.
Alright, well, good luck to you guys.
That you can kind of get away with murder. A lot of them are afraid to get stacked.
Except that I jinxed myself.
It's very easy for them to step their foot into the wrong puddle. The blinds are up too now. 125K, 125, 125.
They didn't raise
760 on the button for Glenn.
They need to scan the time.
I haven't even done anything.
I think
Holy shit. I thought you folded.
Perfectly great hand to raise with.
You have the
I
stand
was
card,
first
you have
time.
the stand card.
Now it's you. Yeah.
Seems we have a bit of a kerfluffle with the card readers. I don't like the fold by Glenn. Um, obviously, it wouldn't have worked because Caleb probably would have shoved over that. I don't mind the shove either, especially with the blinds going up. Looks like you saved a little bit. But Caleb, the shorter stack, still neck and neck with Jay, and this could all change it. Just one hand. One hand's all it takes. I'm curious to see if anyone starts limping to kind of battle the aggression. 7 deuce not going to cut it. I always feel bad seeing people get dealt 7 deuce because there's definitely no 7 deuce game on. Like to open from Caleb. Ace high folds. Queen high folds. Big win for 8 high. Big win for 8 high. What makes you think Caleb is an online player? Just because people play more methodically, not methodically. Closer to what a lot of the tournament stuff is preaching. Doesn't mean they're an online player. Just means they might be studied. I would have loved to see a 3-bet you from you, Glenn, on this hand. Ace high, four-handed, often the best hand. College. This, once again, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. A lot of the hands he's representing would bet flop. Love the call by Glenn. Play some rivers. Great river for ace ten high. Colin's gonna have to bet big to represent anything, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm gonna look this up with ace ten high pretty frequently. He's gonna have a lot of hands with no showdown that have to bluff. I don't think he would bet ace king for value here without betting the flop. As aggressive as a player as he is. So a lot of his hate, yep, good call by Glenn. Great call by Glenn. Well played, well played. Not 3-betting worked out. Made the max. Big pickup, big chip up, and once again, the chip leader is well out in front. Everybody else, basically the same. Loved the hand, Glenn. That was well played. Olive being very aggressive. Albeit choosing some weird timings for his aggression. A lot about poker is making your story make sense. Whether it be you're betting for value or bluffing. Caleb gonna bump it up with the 8-5. I could see Glenn going either way, calling or folding. 5 high is gonna be very easy to play post flop. This is gonna get dicey for Glenn. It's gonna be hard to give up on one street. Caleb's gonna think he has the best hand pretty frequently. You bet for a little equity denial / value. Glenn has a pretty mandatory call at this point in time. Play some turns. That's a great turn for both of them, and it just makes it harder for them to have jacks. I like the check. Glenn should just be trying to get to showdown here. Yep. and does lose its showdown. Unfortunate run out for Glenn, but small loss.
Hell out of that dude. Oh, what a kick.
What a river. There's not many rivers I could win on. That was a good, safe river card.
The deuce is always a safe river card until it's not. Many times have I called for a deuce when it's actually been my demise. In awkward ways, not straightforward ways. Just super awkward ways. Olive with a pair. See how he wants to play it. 23 big blinds. Good pickup. Getting 2 ace highs to fold. Don't mind that. Hard to make a pair four-handed. Pair's way often the best hand. The good thing about that shove is you're going to fold out a lot of hands that are going to be flipping with you. A lot of queen jack offsuit, you know, king 10 offsuit. A lot of those hands you just have to fold. And it's a huge win. I love the shove. Glenn with a monster. Chip lead and the monster. See what sizing he chooses. Slightly larger sizing. Don't mind this. I think Jay's... This is such an awkward spot too. This spot is super rough. You've opened for a very large sizing. I think Jay's overcall makes it really weird. He's already shown himself capable. I mean, you played with him a bunch, Glenn, before this. So I mean, this really comes down to what you think he's doing. If he's shoving every single pair he gets dealt, deuces through aces, and then he's shoving all of his, you know, if he's shoving king 9, he's probably shoving ace 9. So if he's shoving a lot of those hands, this becomes a lot closer than you think. You have the chips to spare. I'm not sure what I would do here. This is such a tough spot, and you have such a strong hand. The biggest problem with your hand is you're behind a random ace deuce or ace 4. This is a gambling spot. Do you feel like gambling? I don't mind this fold at all. Don't mind this fold. I think Jay kind of overplayed his hand by calling such a large raise out of the small blind, and it forced Khaled's move. I like the move by Khaled. It put Glenn in such a rough spot with such a great hand. I don't know what Jay was thinking when he calls. This seems a very like cash mentality thing. Is I have a reasonable hand, I'll call. But chip preservation for him at this point in time is very, very important. This should be a shove. Button versus the 2 blinds. You don't really want to see a flop. This raise sizing is still going to give a great price. Yeah, Glenn's getting a great price now for a hand that plays pretty well post flop versus the button. I like the call. I wish it had shoved. Great flop for Glenn. I like this shove too. Just don't let him check behind and see equity. You were never folding this hand anyways. I can see your rationale behind that. because if Jay was gonna call 400 and then call it off, King Queen is just not gonna play well versus two players. It's just not. It's often not the best hand, and it's gonna be hard for it to become the best hand versus two players. I don't mind the fold. I think you played the hand well. I think Jay made the hand super awkward by calling and opened it up for Khaled's shove. I think it's much different of a hand if Jay folds and then Khaled shoves. And now with the way Khaled's playing, I think he's embracing the tournament variance.
And I saw the no sider.
I don't mind the shove at all, but this is very going to become very swingy for Khaled four-handed. He's going to chip up a little bit, and then he's going to be exposed. Shoving ace-3 off and into the chip later just seems rough. You can just choose a larger sizing. And I think a lot of players don't realize that option. Let's say you have, like Khaled's before this hand, 34 big blinds. You can open to 5 big blinds and fold if someone shoves over you. It's going to get the same result. Khaled's really open up too. And the aggression is paying off. He is chipped up fairly well. Over the 4 million.
Oh, my favorite time.
Don't get tested.
The easiest blinds to steal in the West.
I'm starting to care less and less.
You started to get
You're smart for wanting to play. He knew we were fucking tired.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking tired too.
No
trust
way,
me.
dude.
And not to
Ace
mention,
high, four-handed.
I probably don't have. I want to go home and smoke
The raise sizings are always what intrigue me the most.
killing me.
That's a little tight, a little snug of a fold. Ace high, four-handed is so good. And with the chip lead, two jacks going to war though. Jack 8 suited versus Jack 9 offsuit. Perfectly playable. Both flop the jack. I imagine this. I'm surprised Caleb did not bet this flop. This just. Both players chopping this up.
I like mom better.
I like this chop.
I do too.
You broke even, huh?
I think there was an avenue for Caleb to have won that hand if he bets flop, bets turn. The way Khaled's been playing, I don't think he has an ace, and I don't think he has a king very often. If he calls, if he bet call bet again, the only hand I'd be afraid of on the turn is Queen 10. So it would be bet small, probably, and if he shoves or calls, you just shut down. If he folds, you have the best hand. But I think there's tons of things you can do.
Oh,
And a big pickup by Glenn. Walk with the 10-3. Way too many walks tonight. Once again, I'd like to thank all of y'all for joining me tonight here on the TCH Houston live stream, or not live stream, TCH Houston stream. Well, I guess it's still technically live. It's just not streamed of a live game. For the 100K turkey shootout, call it with a real hand. This is a lot closer. So with as wild as Khaled has been on the button, this shove does not feel like ace king. It does not feel like ace queen. It feels a lot like king high, because Caleb saw the king high shove earlier, and then it feels like a lot of pairs. So if Caleb thinks that Khaled is shoving king high notoriously, he may make this call. And I don't fault him for this. I also don't fault him for this fold because you're flipping in almost all the scenarios.
I can't tell you.
You're never ahead. Well, I can't say never. Like ace, the wheel aces are what you're ahead, but I mean it's kind of minuscule. You can still chop with those hands.
That was definitely a call.
Caleb kind of lamenting over his fold, but Jay once again short. I mean, with 4 players, it's costing you 325k in orbit. So you better make something happen.
I'll tell you. Will you be honest?
King 5 on the button as the chip leader, I think, is a mandatory open. I don't. The way Caleb has been playing, I think he's been playing very straightforward. I don't think he's going to do a lot of calling out of the small blind. And I think Jay is going to be very straightforward with his Jack 10 hand. Obviously, us having seen that and y'all hadn't seen that yet.
I guarantee you a attorney player will tell you not to do that.
Don't mind the fold either.
I don't think it's right.
I just err on the side of aggression once the other big stack is out of the way. 9 deuce definitely not going to cut it though. You can double down. Double down.
Easiest big blind in the West.
2 raise to 250, 4 fold.
Standard open by Caleb. 2x.
Just have it every time, bro.
There's no shot Khaled folded ace queen offsuit. That's definitely a card misread. I would bet everything I'm getting paid to commentate this stream that Khaled did not fold ace queen offsuit on that hand.
God, how about I fold ace 8 to you?
It's not bad.
That's crazy.
That's fucking insane, dude. That's gotta be the tightest fucking tightest fold ever.
Risky your pockets.
They can't read that monster right there?
Just don't move it. Just like put out there, it's skin better. If you move it, then it's
Oh,
hard.
gotcha, okay.
There we go.
I just always see him on TV going like this.
C2 raise 250.
Caleb with another premium four-handed. One of my favorite things about the short-handed poker is the hand range dynamic. This is a little too loose, Glenn. 6-2 offsuit is just such a bad hand, regardless of the price. And Caleb is a good enough player to bet appropriately, but you did figure out a way to win. Maybe the card readers aren't wrong. Khaled slowing down. He folded queen jack offsuit. That's once again probably way too snug of a fold.
I need to get the window on my car fixed too, man. Fucking 7,000 gonna fix that shit right there.
I hope the card reader gets fixed.
Tinted too with that fucking one.
Think of the good weed you could have got.
Weed is definitely not something I need more of. I have plenty.
Glenn in the small blind with jack high.
Running low on crack.
Probably just a fold. Glenn comes to the right conclusion. Caleb with the juggernaut gets that one through. But gets that one through, gets a walk. Glenn, I really hope you had 6 deuce offsuit in that hand.
It's gonna be the worst.
'Cause that's the kind of play I love to see. Is if you're calling with the trash hands, you have a plan. And you very clearly did. You executed
Do
it.
you really have 6s?
Yes. Why would I lie?
You're a sicko. You would do it just for the funsies.
Butternips, that is indeed the Glenn on the table. Glenn C himself.
Yeah,
That made me feel good about
that would make me look better.
it. You already looked it, man. And you're playing well too.
And this has been an action-packed final table. These players have come to play, and I love it. I love it, Glenn.
I think we're kind of getting a second
Show it to everybody. 100%. He had the 6 deuce offsuit. I love it.
That's all good.
Love it. One of the things I love to see is just that street poker element. That street poker element.
Fold to fold. Four call. 5 all in. 4 call.
Hey, oh, what a crap.
It looks like there's an all-in call. Jay seems to have limped the small blind, and Khaled shoved the queen 6 suited into what seems to be king X. Oh, that's 2 kings. That's running into it. Jay in a great spot to double up now. I don't mind the shove by Khaled.
1.475.
Jay's the way Jay's been playing, I don't mind the shove at all.
180.
This is the gambling aspect I'm talking about. Toby doesn't have it. And Jay's picked a great spot to limp the small blind with 2 kings. Oh, that's disgusting. Even if Khaled had checked, this money was getting all in. Big double up for Jay. Patiently waiting, and it pays off. 2 kings double up in Khaled taking a big hit. I don't know why he's hitting himself after that, because I would have done the same thing if it had limped to me. Queen 6 suited, not going to play well across 3 streets. It does well versus shoving versus Jay's perceived limping range. But now Khaled, the short stack at the table. Not by much, though. Glenn's still sitting pretty. A well-timed limp. Caleb folding 8-7 suited under the gun. A little snug. You could probably open it for a min click. Khaled with a monster now. Gonna get this through. I don't mind Jay's limp on the button with this hand. Because Khaled has been so aggressive. Jay really thinking about gambling with his hand? Oh no, yeah. Put that in the mug.
But that's good on spot.
A great time to pick up ace queen. Look like you're steaming. Man, these chip numbers have changed dramatically throughout the course of the stream. Glenn and Jay at the top when they were once at the bottom. That's poker. It only takes a couple of hands, 1 or 2.
Oh, hold on. Misdeal, bring it back. Misdeal.
Got a little misdeal going on. For those of y'all that don't know, this is the second part of our holiday shootout here at TCH Houston. We have a 100K guaranteed mystery bounty. $300 buy-in with flights December 11th through December 15th. 30K starting stack and 30-minute levels. 10% in the money today too. I love me a mystery bounty because I don't have to win the tournament to get money. That does imply that I have to stack people. But I hope to see some of y'all here for this too. We got some great tournaments. Oh, and we come back and Jay limps again with ace queen. Khaled with the king queen off. All in. King 9 suited just shrivels up here. Obvious snap call. Khaled in real danger here. Looking for a king. One of the kings was folded. There's 2 kings left in the deck. Great spot for Jay. It's interesting because Jay's done a very good job of limping with strong hands, very medium hands in the last 30 minutes. I think if Jay had raised, this would have gotten in anyways. But once again, Jay's done a great job knowing that Khaled's being way too aggressive.
2.4. I give that 15 change.
And we are off
Give them
to a flop.
75 and 10. That's 85.
Colin definitely been the most active player, but he's gotten some real hands.
Yeah,
And he's
I
done
think
some
it's
things
10.
that I thought were reasonable. I didn't think the Queen 6 shove was bad. I definitely didn't think this shove was bad. He's just running into it. King high. The last two kings in the deck? That is insane.
No.
Uh-oh, 2 outs. Oh, there's a sweat. It's always a sweat. Call it with a big pickup now. Big double up. Now the chip leader at 5.78 mil. And Jay just short of 2 big blinds. Jay's going to have to make something work. This is the spot where if you see any piece of paint, your chip should be in the middle. Your 2 cards are suited. They're probably in the middle. If they can make a straight and they're suited, they should be in the middle. You got to gamble. You want to win this tournament, you got to gamble. Jay, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, he busts out in fourth place? Glenn, no spoilers. Jay is all in the blind. Call it with a little speculative call. I don't think Khalid is playing bully, but we have a little bit of streaming lag.
All in and then 5 call. Yeah, yeah.
I think he was just gambling. And sometimes you just want to gamble. He's being very aggressive, which I don't mind. In fact, it paid off for him. Ace high, way out in front. Little gutty action for Jack 8. A bit of a sweat. And a clean run up for the ace high.
Good game, man.
Jay out in 4th place for $9,100. Still a great payday for a $400 tournament. Now, 3rd place, looking at $13,280. Quite the pay jump. Glenn
Brothers out here, one big blind.
tried to push the chop.
Yeah, one big blind. 150, 150.
Pretty upset.
I've seen some people, Stefan, nurse some 2 big blind stacks for longer than I could even imagine. Granted, that was full ring and not final table, but still, that's some discipline.
Yeah, I think he just had to get on his phone.
If he was the big blind, he's obviously just all in with whatever cards he's dealt. Now we're 3-handed. I'm curious to see how the dynamic of this final table changes. If Khalid keeps up the aggression, Khalid gets a walk with 10s. Wait, I'm so confused. The graphics had to have been a little wrong. There's no way Khalid gives Glenn a walk with 10s. Especially 3-handed.
Yeah.
And this is where Caleb, I think, can kind of play it a little more snug and let the big stacks kind of do the chip bullying thing. Colin has already showed that he was willing to gamble and willing to put in the chips a little bit lighter. So you just kind of let him take the betting lead, and then once you get a strong hand, you put the money in. Ace King suited on the button. You're going to be raising light anyways. You raise. I don't want to see a call. I don't like this all in either. Works out though. Ace King versus Ace Queen.
Give me a fucking queen.
This is fireworks. I mean, these 2 players working with monsters. This is ridiculous.
Wait.
Queen for Ace King.
Just make it a club if you do it.
Wait.
Okay, now no.
Super clean. Now chop out. Extra chop outs. No chop. Ace King high holding up.
2.4.
Big double up for Caleb. Now the chip leader, call it, just sitting at 3.6 million. Still plenty of chips to play. This is anybody's game. This is exciting. I mean, big hands are getting dealt around. Glenn, there's no way he had tens. Did you limp? I'm so confused about that hand. I mean, the action tracker kind of made that wonky.
And all this trophy talk kind of woke me up a little bit.
I'm not chopping shit.
Yeah, no more fucking chopping. Let's
Not
hey, can we
chopping.
run those numbers real quick?
I'm not chopping.
This has been an exciting final
Let's just
table.
take a look. Let's just-
I hope y'all are enjoying
Can we
this
get one
as
more
much
pause?
as I am.
I know the rules. Let's just get one more.
Players willing to gamble, plenty of action around. 8-7 offsuit. I think three-handed, the small blind, big blind fighting strategy is very interesting.
I mean, the real thing is how do
I
you
like the limp, and I think Glenn should be limping all of his hands.
mind
Option range,
Fucking fold every fucking time. Big blind.
Caleb
2 raise,
and Caleb really taking up the aggression here. I like it.
You know my talent?
He's picked a lot of hands that just don't play well in a limp spot. Or is not the aggressor. I mean, they just don't play well, period. But I like it. And this is something a lot of players don't normally do, is take their really bad hands and raise them in the big blind. Because you just don't want to play post flop. I mean, there's the additional fold equity. Glenn with Queen Jack.
2 fold, 5 fold.
Everybody folds. No one had a hand.
But that's good on 2.
Big pickup for Queen High. Deshane Alexander asking if we can enjoy the rest of the stream without Glenn posting any spoilers. Please, Glenn, no more spoilers. This is exciting. Jack 6 offsuit a little too weak to raise the button, especially with as active as.
5 all in,
Yep. Khalid is very much in the shove or fold mode. And it's interesting because 24 big blinds? Three-handed 24 big blinds is a lot to play with. I mean, there's tons of play that can be had. I understand, you know, if you get to 20 to 25 big blinds and there's 100 people left in the tournament and you're just trying to double up. But this is very, very gambling. I mean, he's already shown that he's been very, very gambling.
5 fold,
Glenn with a monster.
2 400.
Once again,
2 fold.
Caleb with the 7 deuce. I think this is a hand of Glenn. Glenn had limped that Caleb would have raised, and I think Ace Queen offsuit plays very well as a limp 3-bet, especially if you're gonna limp so many hands. Yes, it sucks if it checks through, but if it checks through, you just get to play post flop poker. Ace Queen offsuit 3-handed plays very well post flop. 7-4 suited on the button for Glenn. Straight in the muck.
2 call. Option raise all in.
College really understanding the dynamic. I like this. College has definitely came to play, and he's willing to gamble on it all. And and when you're willing to play like this, these are some very crucial chip pickups that you can get. If you just get a couple of light jams through like that,
I've already.
where a lot of
I've done
people
it
would have
fucking
opted
10 times already.
if their option. King 4 offsuit, not a great hand. Khalid understands that King 4 offsuit versus Caleb's limping range, probably in great shape. Uh-oh. Oh, no, it's 10s again for Khalid. Queen 3 offsuit, not good enough to make this call.
Jack 3.
And another good pickup for Colin. He's just chipping back up. This is great. But I would have loved to see a hand as strong as 10s just raise instead of shove. I understand the thought process behind shove. I don't want to shoot overs. I don't want to flip Cody. And he's been doing it the whole time with his other hands. But 10s is handed is such a strong hand.
No, that's not true. We're literally all pretty much even. I have a little bit more, but I have 4.5. He has 4.1.
A single raise here is going to look so weird.
He has like 4.3.
Queen 8 suited on the button versus their stacks. Very, very reasonable open.
$20 you have over 4.
That's one.
Hey, good luck, Colin.
Caleb joking that Khalid's going to go all in. Does make a very conservative fold. I would have loved to see an open from the Queen 8 suited. I like the limp from Glenn.
Oh, see, yeah, take a deep breath.
Caleb,
Doesn't it feel good to see
with a
flop?
reasonable hand, I don't mind this check.
Only 150K flop, you know?
Queen 8 would have been way the best hand here. And it probably would have taken some chips from Caleb. Caleb going for a little bit of value. Gets called. Big pickup for Caleb. Still, the chip stacks are so close, this is anyone's game. It could very easily swing in one person's favor. In one hand.
Would you have made $20?
What you said? Over in 4 million?
4, I would have had 4 or more.
It was literally 4,050,000.
You know what, dude? I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna do this for a living.
Caleb saying to the table he's going to become a full-time poker player. I have no clue about whether or not he's actually a full-time poker player, but what a rough life that would be for Caleb. I think it was Doyle Brunson that said it's one of the hardest ways to make one of the easiest livings in the world. I like the limp. Can take a single raise, cannot take a shove. 6-3 suited. Can check back to the big blind. 6 in the window. Six high gets way the best. Oh, and a great run out. It's going to be hard for him to get paid. King high here, though. A lot of the hands that College's representing should have bet the turn, especially when he's betting this large. This is close to the pot. But Caleb makes the discipline lay down, folds king high. I don't know if I would have found that fold. A lot of the hands
What I had right there.
College was representing just should have bet the turn. Outside of like 6-9. 6-9 is really the only hand that I can think of that run out that would have taken that same line. 6 high flush draws obviously too, but I think there would have been some merit for Khaled to a bet turn.
Hey, he's hacking. He's hacking. He's hacking the whole thing.
Now as we have our dealer change, let y'all know about the third part of our holiday shootout. Will be a 100K guaranteed $200 buy-in multi-flight tournament from December 18th through December 22nd. 30K starting stack, 30-minute levels, 12.5% in the money, 8% day 2. This is a great value tournament. I mean, we're watching a $400 buy-in, 100K guaranteed,
Got it up my butt.
single day tournament. Imagine
Just let me know if you
how much better your return on investment will be in this $200 buy-in, 100K guaranteed.
Isn't that what
I hope to see some of y'all there. I hope to commentate on someone in chat making the final table. It's going to be a fun time. the Christmas tournament here at Texas Roadhouse.
Reminds me of that
Houston.
South Park.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're rubbing their nipples. You know that episode?
Where the call center, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, tell me more about your internet problems.
We're just stuck here with 3 players left of the original 8 we started the stream off with. Caleb
It's fucking, dude, they're fucking. Yeah.
probably gonna raise this.
Holy shit, how much am I? It's 150, right? 350. That's what I'm raising.
I like the raise sizing. Oh, that's feels a little snug for Khalid to fold the Jack Knight suited. I think 3-handed, you can mix in a lot more calls, small blind versus button, because you get to keep when you call the small blind, you get to keep their range super wide. If you think they're going egregiously wide with their opening range, you can start to 3-bet a lot more. But I think you can still mix in some calls. Jack 9 suited could go both ways. 3-bet or call. I don't want to watch 3 players resort to bingo. Call it with a real hand. See him open it up, not shove it. It's a little big on the sizing. It's definitely going to price Glenn out with the 8-6 suited. That's just too big of a sizing. This may get a call. Ace-4, yeah, Ace-4 offsuit in the big blind versus this is probably a pretty mandatory defend. Oh, and disaster. Ace high for both players. Well, a pair of aces for both players. And call it with such an aggressive and just overbets. Overbet rips it. Oh, this is disgusting. Caleb calls. And Caleb needs a 4.
He always has it. He always has it.
That was disgusting. Well played by Colin, getting the absolute max early on when he is ahead. Caleb looking for a 9 or 4. Now an 8, 9, or 4. Comes out clean for the ace queen. Big pickup for Khalid. Caleb now in danger. What a hand. Well played by Khalid. One makes you think that he would have shoved the flop with flush draws and straight draws, which is really all Caleb can beat. He beats none of Khalid's values. What a hand. Now Khalid, well, the chip leader. Caleb just sitting on 10 big blinds, basically. 9 big blinds. I would have liked to see Caleb take a lot more thought behind that call. You beat absolutely none of Khalid's value. None of the hands he's shoving for value, but you beat all of his drawing hands. So, are you willing to flip for your tournament or his tournament life? That's really the question I'd be asking. I'm not saying his call's wrong. I would have loved to have seen more time thought into it. It's very hard to make a pair in 3-handed. But now Caleb's in the danger zone.
No, you were,
With the way Khalid's been playing.
you made it 500 Cam.
Danger zone. Glenn's just been sitting there pretty well. Everyone's been doing stuff. 9-8 offsuit, not a raise. This may be a spot where you can start, because Caleb's so short, you can start incorporating limps. 10-8 offsuit, not a call by any means. But Khalid's willing to gamble. So now, Domination Nation. King high, great start for Caleb. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Phony Turkison, glad to see you in the chat. Thank you for doing my job for me.
Guys, I didn't calculate that
Hope everyone's having a great night today. If you like what you're watching, just hit that like button. Like and subscribe. Get more of that TCH content from all of the properties, whether it be Dallas, Austin, Rio Grande Valley, or here, Houston. That's a big double up for Caleb. He's still got a lot of work to do, though.
Sorry.
I mean, that barely made a dent in college stack. I don't think the 10-8 offsuit was worth the call. I think he was just trying to gamble. I mean, when you have a chip stack like that, sometimes you can just gamble. I mean, it's a huge pay jump now. I mean, let's look at these payouts. It's a $6,300 difference between second and third. And that's huge when you have such a huge chip stack and you have the chance to eliminate someone. So I don't fault him for gambling. Would I have done it? Probably not. But that's how you make the big money. Guarantee the big money.
You have to step away if you use your selfie.
Caleb folding queen high. See if we can get some nice blind versus blind action. Nope. A walk for the beautiful 9-8 suited for Glenn.
That was a bad hand. He beat me with fucking weird shit.
Collar was incredibly dominated. Good fold. I don't think the 8-4 offsuit's worth limp either. So. But what do I know?
Big blind, please. Did you hear me, Caleb? Big blind, please. Good to go. Thank you.
Glenn with an absolute monster. Let's see how he wants to play this. I don't mind. I think everything he does could be correct here.
Alright, let's see.
Limping is fine. Raising small is fine. Going all in is fine. Don't mind any of it. We still got a battle between these three players. Exciting. Still hoping everyone out there tonight is having a fantastic time on this Monday evening, especially here with me watching this final table. Big hand, ace queen offsuit. Just gonna rip it, blind versus blind. And we have an all-in and a call. And we have a genuine race. Ace queen versus fives.
Fuck's sake, just give me a set.
Calling for a set. The classic race. 2 overs and a pair. Queen high, great for Caleb. Turn doesn't really change anything. The outs remain the same for Khalid. He's looking for a 5 and a 5 only. Ace queen takes it. Another big double up for Caleb. And now we're looking at 3 fairly even stacks. The numbers just keep changing. And this is going to happen a lot three-handed. It's just going to happen a lot. Numbers are going to change. Swings are going to be big.
Are we all even?
Once again, it's anybody's game.
Shot, bastard. You bastard. We all have like 4 mil. Wait, no, I have more.
Oh, I'm in trophy
2,
range. I'm in
3.
trophy range.
I have 4.5 mil.
Oh, baby.
He's done got false.
4.4.
What an exciting
No.
final table.
Lock up that trophy.
It feels like these players are playing very much a sit and go style tournament now.
Want that? We have the
3 max sit and go
Do I start from dealing here or
or spin and go, whatever you want to call it.
you are smoking?
I'm not chopping, but I'm getting fucking 19.
God.
19. Fuck, I was getting early.
Good to go.
I was getting my 19 early. Man,
Caleb with a real hand on the button. Suited queen. Gonna bump it up.
All
This is. A, oh, Caleb didn't say all in. Khalid said all in. A hand worth shoving all in with.
in. He gave.
And this is gonna be a very gambly final 3. Glenn, basically in the last several hands, has just been sitting there looking at the fireworks going off. I wouldn't mind this if I'd been in your shoes, Glenn. Your card dead, and 2 players are
Then at 3
going at it.
fucking, I
Are you married?
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's fucking good.
No, tell her you.
This is exciting.
In the Philippines, I'm good.
Oh, you're sure.
Damn, it's supposed to be
USC,
opposite.
baby.
You're
At
supposed to
USC.
be in the Philippines.
I don't leave till the 13th.
10 high, not gonna cut it. The way these players are playing, I don't mind the fold. I do think it's 10-6 suited is too strong to fold. You gotta open that up on the button. The way everybody's playing though right now is just very gambling. It's like I said, it feels very much like a spin and go. You're just willing to gamble, and these are for significant pay jumps. I mean, this is huge pay jumps. $6,000 pay jump between second and third, and a $10,000 pay jump between first and second. So, the way everybody's playing,
I used to
or
play
at least Khalid and Caleb are playing, it feels very much like a spin and go.
It doesn't suck. It's just,
You play that Cypress poker, I play there.
I really just don't play.
4-3 offsuit, not gonna cut it for Glenn.
Like, really don't. I'll play like fun turn, like my state tournament.
This is a spot where I wouldn't mind being card dead. I would like to see Caleb limp. I think the way Khalid has been playing, it doesn't matter if you're raising or limping. If he thinks his hand is the best, he is going to pile it in. I want him to check the dookie hands. You want him to make a pair with 6, like he had 6-4 offsuit. And
Fucking heartbreaking hand, but
this is one of those spots where you just want
7 out of like
to try and make the max.
the cage.
I understand that, Glenn. 13 hours in,
Is that the only one you
everything feels like sludge.
I couldn't play. I knew I couldn't play Sunday, which sucked. I wanted to play the main.
Yeah, for sure.
Just everything feels like sludge.
Yeah, a 1 mil guaranteed PLO is so.
Chat, how many of y'all have played longer than 13-hour cash game sessions? Just out of curiosity. If any of y'all,
All in?
It seems like no.
I know I
limit
have.
would be more your thing anyway.
I get weirdly lucky in tournaments. I wouldn't say cash in my thing. Decent, because I like.
Stefan, that's the most expensive Whataburger.
Couple all-ins.
Do you really miss Whataburger that much?
Then you just gotta chill.
Because In-N-Out sucks. I'm just gonna say it on stream. In-N-Out
I
sucks.
get tilted. I get tilted. I'll get sucked out. I get tilted. Then hold'em cash. It's unbeatable. It's not beatable these days. Like I don't want to play high stakes.
Those college Whataburger?
1-3 grinders. They're playing for their.
Man, I haven't had Whataburger in a hot minute. Something about Whataburger at 4 a.m. just hits differently.
And everyone studies. Hold'em is like it's a game that people kind of like generally.
Stefan, that's
figure
enough.
out.
Those are rookie hours.
Yeah, like
Boney Turgerson, those are rookie hours too. 8 to 10 hours, that's rookie numbers.
plus I'm more.
Chat, I want to know how many of y'all have played over 24 hours.
No limit, I think like even the back.
I know I have. What's my record?
If there was some high like.
My record's like 36-ish straight. when I first started playing, I just couldn't stop playing. I just couldn't. In 36 hours, this is absurd. Glenn kind of running into it here. I like the raise fold.
There's a consistent good old elimination.
David, having played over 24 hours,
Place to kill it.
I play a lot of mixed games, so it's like it's just so. Usually champions or they run it here, but it's just.
When I used to play a lot.
Can't play whole.
the longest losing session I've played is
This is the first time I played. Hold'em.
upwards of like 24.
Yeah.
It's a little over a
But,
day.
Like the times you get lucky and run deep, it's so much fun.
Shoot, I played a long losing session the other day. I played like 12 hours the other day and I lost.
I used
It was
to play
unfortunate.
the most poker I used to play was at 180.
The longest session I ever played though was not a losing session. It was a winning session. It was at the Golden Nugget. I remember the session too, because I lost with aces full and I still won with the session. I got stacked.
Okay, so when you say all in,
That's how you know you're running good. Is when you get stacked with aces full and you still have a winning session.
I don't hear you when you say all in. It's like a secret.
I made somewhere. It was a good 1-3 game where everyone was straddling for 6. I was in for 1,000, and I cashed out for something over 6,
Yeah.
and I lost 3,000 in a hand with aces versus kings on ace king king XX. I didn't realize how good of a run it was until later in life.
Wow, but you just
And we have a collision here.
875.
don't have it, but
Ace 8 versus ace queen offsuit.
875.
Caleb raising small blind versus big blind in college, just ripping it. Now, Caleb's in a tough spot. You don't want to be calling it off with these hands. You want to be the one jamming. Calling it off with ace 8, and he does.
Oh my God! How do you always have it?
Call it has it this time. Just has it.
How do you always have it? It's not looking good, Jay.
I don't like this call off with ace 8. You're hoping he has king 10 and then you're flipping. It's not a great look. But here we are. Oh, chop outs. After this hand, Carter, I will show y'all the payouts again. Clean run out for ace queen. Caleb just with 2 big blinds now. Colin with a huge stack. As I show you all the payouts, first gets a cool $29,255. Second gets $19,570, and third getting $13,280, which is looking right now a lot like what Caleb's gonna get, because it's gonna be really hard to spend this 300K up. It's not even just dominated, Stefan. It's the hands you want him to have. You're flipping against king 10, king jack, queen jack. All of those hands you're flipping against. And then if he shows up with a hand like pocket 9s, you're crushed. You want to be shoving with ace 8. You don't want to be calling. It's just not a great scenario.
So ironic it was ace queen versus ace 8.
You said ace queen was handing them around.
What a big pickup for college, who's taken a commanding chip lead. And for 2 big blinds, looking at 2 5s, it's not that bad. I think this is a spot where both players could call and just try and KO. Glenn, with 150 already invested, folds. That's a very disciplined fold, because I wouldn't have even looked at my cards and I would have called for 1 more big blind. That's insane. And you were correct too. The price you're getting there is just absolutely insane. You're getting 4 to 1. Obviously, 4 deuce ain't doing great, so it's one of the hands that you could probably fold. But I don't know, gamble. Once again, I probably would have just called without looking at my cards. Who knows? But a big double up basically for Caleb. Caleb now sitting pretty kind of pretty standard shove, blind versus blind. This is close. So Caleb knows he's going to have to gamble at some point to try and win this tournament. Jack 9 offsuit, not the worst hand to choose to do it with. It's very similar to Jack 10 in terms of equity-wise. You're just hoping that you're flipping. Yeah, I don't mind this call at all. You just got to gamble for it at some point. And three-handed, it's going to be harder to get. It's going to be so hard to get it in the spot where you need to double. So Glenn just needs to hold. Domination Nation. Caleb now looking for a 9 or some straight looking cards. That's a whole bunch of dookie. It's straight booty cheeks for Caleb. Still straight booty cheeks. 9 and a 9 alone will save Caleb. Close, but no cigar. Good finish, Caleb. Good run. Nice chip up by Glenn. Caleb will be out in third place. Caleb, $1,280. Still pretty good return on a $400 buy tournament. I don't know about y'all, but if I ever buy it for anything, for any poker-related thing for $400 and get 13K out of it, I'll be ecstatic. Second place now, 19,570, and first, 29,255. So a $10,000 pay difference for first place. And I don't think Colin's going to be in the mood to chop because he's got a 3-to-1 chip advantage.
The button is always a small blind.
So this should be an interesting heads-up match. I'm excited for this.
And you always deal away from the button first.
I'm curious to see how Colin plays
It's
this.
always a small blind.
He was very aggressive, and then once he chipped up to 10.1 mil, the ace queen hand, he decided to be a lot more passive about it.
He was the big one.
I was small. No, he was the big blind. He just got posted in the big blind.
Okay, so the button. So
So he was a small.
I was small blind.
Right. But he was the button. So that's
Okay.
correct.
Once again, thank y'all to everybody joining me tonight for this TCH Houston tournament stream from last Friday. Hope everyone out there is having a good evening. $100K, 200K blinds. I don't mind the shove at all. I think there's going to be a lot of gambling in this with the stack sizes. Glenn has less than 20 big blinds. Colin's lead is pretty big, so Glenn's going to try and need to chip up at every chance he gets. And I don't mind gambling. What's the worst that could happen? You get second? Woo. You got a lot of work ahead of you. Gamble it up. And the way this is going, I think this is going to be a pretty quick heads up. This is rough. The computer hand suited. How light do you think Colin's shoving? I think it's pretty light, but I don't mind the fold by Glenn. I don't think it's light enough to get called. Once again, this comes into play a lot in tournament poker, especially heads up, three-handed, four-handed, is you'd rather be shoving with a lot of these hands than calling. Most certainly, Glenn, you got to gamble. I like the fold. Once again, you'd rather be shoving with Queen 7 suited than calling. You're just not in great shape when you're calling. But when you're shoving, you can definitely get called by a lot of hands that you're gambling with. And you get a ton of folds by hands that have great equity against you. It's going to be a shove. The way the game's been playing. And we have it all in and a call. Ace high versus king high. This could be it. Glenn looking for a king or a 10. Ace high gut shot for Glenn though.
Queen ball, one time. Queen ball.
Still no player with clubs. Still looking for a queen. Queen alone will save him. And that will do it. Good job, everybody. Glenn out in second place. Congratulations to Khalid, the winner of the 100K guaranteed. Well played, everybody who was at our final table. What a run. Man, Khalid had a roller coaster of emotions throughout the tournament. Well played by Glenn, too, who went from one of the shortest stacks to second place. So thank y'all for everybody who joined me tonight for this TCH Houston final table stream for the 100K guaranteed Black Friday tournament. I hope everybody had a good time. I will see y'all next time, probably Thursday, for the 2-5 stream. Y'all have a great evening.